Hi, my name is Emily Schurter, and I'm a counselor, a social worker, and the Violence Against Women Program Coordinator for Family Services Perth-Huron. I want to talk to you today about trauma and mental health for women who have experienced gender-based violence and abuse. A brief content warning. I am about to talk about effects of trauma and abuse. I will not be describing any specific trauma in depth, but some people may find that hearing about these effects can be disturbing. So please reach out to your supports if you need. Let's start by defining trauma. So a traumatic event is a situation that overwhelms our ability to cope. And this often includes intense fear, helplessness, loss of control, harm, or threat of harm. There's some other factors that can affect how a traumatic event can affect us. For example, the frequency, how many times it happened, how old you were when it happened, whether you were a child or an adult, and your coping skills at that time, other people's reactions. For example, if you were to share your experience with someone and they made you feel like it was your fault, or if they were to make you feel like you should be ashamed or embarrassed, that can really affect the way that we interpret what happened to us and the way that it continues to affect us going forward. As well, our previous experiences. So, for example, something that is very intense to some people might be less intense to others because of their past experience with similar situations. Trauma affects our whole being. It affects us mentally, such as changing the way that we think about ourselves, how we see the world, even our ability to concentrate or remember kind of those little day-to-day things. We can have flashbacks, nightmares, and sometimes become hyper aware of what's going on in our surroundings, feeling extra jumpy or really noticing differences or little things going on. It can affect us emotionally, such as becoming quick to anger or feeling angry often, feelings of intense guilt or shame, feelings of sadness or helplessness. People often even experience numbness or feeling out of touch with their emotions, difficulty experiencing happiness or enjoying things that we really enjoyed before. It can affect us physically even. So things like an upset stomach, difficulty sleeping, feeling restless or jumpy or jittery can cause a change in weight or a change in our eating patterns. And it can even cause us to feel disconnected or out of touch from our physical body. And that's just to name a few ways that trauma can affect us. It's so important for us to recognize the effects of trauma and to give ourselves some space and some self-compassion. We don't want to judge ourselves for our body's natural responses to trauma. Trauma can affect us in so many different ways, and there's no set length of time or way that healing should take place. So I've prepared a couple mental health tips for coping with these effects. The first, to build your support system. So this can include professionals, like involving your family doctor in your support circle, a social worker or a therapist, and it should also include some informal supports, whether that's friends, whether that's family who's supportive, or other people who've experienced similar things that you have. These different people supporting us and building our support network ensures that we have people that we can count on when we need to, and can really help to build us up. A trauma therapist can help you to find new ways of moving forward and can help you to reduce the effects of trauma that you're living with, as well as to just have a deeper understanding of your experience. I think it's really important to remember that asking for help is okay. As human beings, we are not designed to operate alone. We need other people, and so that is okay. It's okay to have people that you can reach out to or count on or talk to. So the next tip that I have is about self-care. So self-care can definitely be a bubble bath and some scented candles if that's what makes you feel relaxed and taken care of. But I would also like to really expand our idea of what it means to take care of and to nurture ourselves, whether that is eating healthy, balanced meals because we know that those nutrients really help our body and our mind to recharge, whether that is getting some exercise and moving in our bodies in a way that feels good, just in the way that we enjoy, whether that is working out or playing with our kids or just going for walks more regularly. If it makes us feel good and helps us to recharge, then it's some good self-care. Another part of self-care that I think is important is our boundary setting. So we may not always think of that as part of our self-care, but if we're always saying yes to helping others when we know that our tank is empty and we really do need to take some time to rest and recharge, setting that boundary and saying no sometimes is okay and can sometimes be good self-care. The next point that I have is about self-compassion. Now, I know I mentioned this before, and also that it would fit really well under self-care, but I really wanted to draw attention to it because self-compassion is so important, because it's the way that we talk to ourselves and think about ourselves all day long. And so oftentimes the thoughts that are going on in our brain are harsh or judgmental. We might even use judgmental words on ourselves that we would definitely not use with friends or someone that we care about. So I like to remind ourselves to try to think of ourselves as someone that we care about as well, right? So not using words or language that we wouldn't use with a friend. Things like calling each other names or, swearing at ourselves. These things are not things that we should do to ourselves, because we should also want to care about ourselves and show ourselves that compassion. So my last tip is about breath. So this is just a quick tool that we can use to begin to soothe our bodies anywhere and at any time. When we're experiencing something that is threatening to us, our body starts to enact these natural processes that are developed to prepare us to react. So you may have heard of it before, the fight, flight, or freeze reaction, named for some of the responses that our body just starts to get ready for in times of danger. After experiencing trauma, this system will often be primed to react much more quickly and may activate at the cue of something that reminds us of the traumatic incident, whether it is a look on someone's face or a certain smell. A whole range of things can really start to activate this system as they remind us of that incident. And that is our body's way of trying to protect us in the ways that it knows how from things that have harmed us before or caused danger. And so if we start to notice this system becoming activated, things that we might look for are our breathing becoming quicker and shallower. We might notice our heart is racing. You might even feel it kind of beating in your chest really hard, right? We might notice our stomach is kind of churning, our digestion is upset. We might notice that our thoughts are racing and it's kind of hard to keep track of what's going on. And so once we start to notice these symptoms, one of the quickest way to slow down that fight, flight, freeze system is by taking several deep breaths. And this signals to our body that we're safe. So let's practice them now. I want us to breathe in for a count of 3 and then out for a count of 3. And we're going to do this twice. And you might find by the end that your body just starts relaxing a little bit. So we're going to go in for 3 seconds, out for 3, in for 3, out for 3. And just noticing the way that your body feels right now. This is something that we can come back to anywhere and at any time. Once we start to notice that tightening in our chest or the churning in our stomachs, this is a great time to remind ourselves to stop and take some deep breaths. So that's it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. For more information about mental health or access to counseling, Family Services Perth-Huron provides support to women survivors and their children at no cost to deal with the effects of trauma, of violence or abuse. So please call 519-273-1020 to book an intake. For more information about ending violence against women in Perth County, please visit and explore the Stop VAW Perth website. Thank you.